Hold up. Oh, thanks, mate. So we started that with Matariki when we started having it here and story sharing with a lot of the elders, a lot of the young people, was bringing people together. And the moment came, what was it, 2015, we opened Matariki. We had a photo exhibition, or we had a time there in June. Came to the 25th of July when bang, close off Matariki celebrations in the sense of that 1 month, and we began to do the whakawātea of the land, to give it a good sweep as we came together. All these people came together and we did a walk around sweeping the whenua of anything there was negative, and we bind it with the positive. And the thought at that time was to grab a flax bush, and the symbolism had been the first plant of that particular kaupapa here first because it was of the whenua, of the land. And we gave it all the rituals of complementing it, of being the first here in that sense. And then there was the first fruit tree, which was a mandarin tree, and we gave it all its importance and for being the first fruit tree to be planted on this ground we called the Wairiki food forest on the Rahirahi. And the reasons why we called the name, that we didn't want it written in the plaque on a big sign to say, people, this is the Wairiki food forest on the Rahirahi, was part of the concept of sharing stories. And if there was people in the garden, they'll give their perspective of what they felt in the beginning of this garden and of Wairiki food forest on the Rahi. So Wairiki, it was to say this is a geographic location, and talks about the stream and the name of this place. Food forest was what we are doing in this place.
So I think a really good mechanism to teach people about the Kiwi, to get them more engaged with the Kiwi, is around Kiwi Protection. And I would focus particularly here on Kiwi Coast, that Northland project up the east coast of Northland, where as a collaboration between government, between NGOs and private landowners, we've been able to protect Kiwi and give them a corridor up the east coast. Now that's a combination of three things: predator control, dog control, and Kiwi release. And I think through activities like that, where the community and children can actually see and touch and do, that's how you better get to understand this wonderful bird that is indeed unique to us and is our icon. The more we take it out of the textbook and you actually get to look and see and touch, the more important and relevant this bird becomes to you. And so the release I was at Pātawa was exactly that. Although often I'm looking at the pleasure of the people around me. I've already had the privilege of seeing, and I will hope to have many more, but I'm looking at the people, looking at their pleasure, watching them, watching the learning that they have. They now know that they need to be quiet around Kiwi, that it's a bird that hears noise very clearly. And so there's a whole lot of wonderful learning, but I'm looking at their faces. I'm looking at the smile on their faces. I'm looking at the understanding they have, and they will tell another 8 people, and their children will tell all their classmates. And so good begets good.
But over hundreds of years, some birds...
Now, about 4 years ago, we had another very dry summer,
exceptionally dry summer. And the same thing was happening then. We were getting little baby kiwi, adult kiwi, out in the middle of farmers' paddocks, heat of the day, and it was killing them. So then we got about 3 years where it was a normal summer, still a bit of water around, bit of rain. But this year we've had another exceptionally dry one, and once again the birds are back in trouble again. So the climate change is making a huge difference.
I'd love them to be more engaged. So here we have the first kiwi with a Māori name. I'd like children, right from when they're young through to when they're adults, to appreciate the uniqueness and the special place that kiwi plays in our country, but also the special danger it has from rodents and from dogs. And so I like to think across a lifetime the kiwi becomes an animal of reverence, an animal to be enjoyed, not put up on a pedestal. That's not where it lives in the bush. But as much as we can enjoy kiwi and enjoy it in its environment across a lifetime, across a generation, understand it from a childhood, and then maybe in adulthood where we have more opportunities to do something, putting our hands to that wheel so that we can sustain kiwi and enjoy it and have it as part of our world.
The biggest thing is to take pride in our forests and our wildlife. When you're at school and you're playing on the school grounds, most of the schools have native trees growing around them. And what I like to tell the children, if you're out there playing on the trees one day and you break a branch off it, that tree will probably die. So by looking after our native trees, we're looking after the birds. The children are too young to go out in the forest on their own and try and rescue birds and things like that. But the trees are what supply the living accommodation, the food and the safety to our wild birds out there. So I like to try and educate the children to look after the trees, plant trees. You know, if you're living on a farm, see mum and dad, see if you can plant some little seedlings somewhere, because later on those children will go back to visit their school or their old farm they used to live on when they were little, and there'll be great big trees there with birds in them singing and nests and everything. And it's because they set that seed, and that's the future. Really is.
I want to see a sustainable kiwi. I want to see it protected. I think if I had one goal, it would be to encourage private landowners to engage more with the philosophy of kiwi, because they have a large part to play, and we've seen this in Kiwi Coast, where it's been the private landowners who have allowed DOC and volunteers to go on their land. It's the private landowners who control their dogs, and I think if we can have an increased relationship between private landowners and conservation of the kiwi, that would be an aspiration that I have. That would be a good thing to do.
It's about the environment. We as men got to fix up what we've done so that our elder siblings, such as the kiwi, can survive as well, and to teach its offspring about the natural stuff in the food forest, or in the forest itself. Sorry. But the connection, it's about the environment. It's learning to take care of that environment again, so that the kiwi and many other elder siblings can flourish and survive as well.